What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards Football and Sports Talk Radio. I'll be your host and producer, Logan Landers, and join me here this afternoon. Talk about the offensive lineman out of UGA, Jared Wilson, is going to be Brian LaBelle. Brian, what's going on, man? And we're capping off our NFL draft prospect breakdown that we've been doing for a while now with the UGA Bulldog here in Jared Wilson. So I'm excited. Let's talk about this guy. And hey, he's the focal point. He's got the ball. He's got to snap it. So without him, the offense won't work. But what else do you like about Jared?
Well, he was a guy. He's a textbook, like he earned his stripes, right? He wasn't a starter initially. He wasn't a guy that even if you're a Georgia fan, you thought, hey, this kid's going to be the center of the future someday. But he worked hard. He proved himself. He did the dirty work. He did the special team stuff. He did the scout team stuff. He did everything that was asked of him. And then this past year, he was the guy. And he was the anchor in one of the best offenses in college football, and it didn't matter if they're running the football. It didn't matter if they're throwing the football. The tape was good. If you watch him against, I think his best games you go, but it's Clemson, Tennessee, Ole Miss, which I know Ole Miss wasn't a great game if you're a Georgia fan, but I think that's more on, maybe your quarterback and your receiver rooms more so than the center because they played okay, especially in the run game initially. But, the guy's pretty quick. He's sub 4.9 40, which for a guy who's 6'3", 310, that's really fast. He's blazing quick. He's got good hands. He can both run block and pass block, which he showed. And if you look at Georgia's numbers, it's proven there because they were phenomenal in both categories. He's very good at climbing to the next level as an offensive lineman in the run game where he's washing a guy. And there's a lot of times where he wouldn't necessarily win a block, but he knows like, hey, the play's going left. As long as you don't go left, I'm good. So he's washing to the right. He's getting you out of the way. He did that plenty, even when he was outmatched, which I like that. You know what I mean? That shows that he's very savvy. He understands what he needs to do. That's more of a veteran type play that you'd expect to see in an older guy that's been around for a while, which, that's awesome. He's very good at keeping his head on a swivel. He seeks out the next guy to block. He doesn't ever seem to be complacent with just getting the first guy. He's got, hey, let's go to the next level. Let's get the linebacker too, maybe the safety if I can get there. But I really like his game. It's kind of hard to judge where he's going to end up or what team really want him, but good centers are hard to come by. They're at a premium, and I think he's a good center.
Yeah, solid guy, and someone who missed, I believe it was only 2 games this year, but he still had over 1,000 snaps on the offense. So even though he didn't miss a little bit of time, he was still pretty much always on the field. Like you said, the thing that I like about him that a lot of people do is he stayed with the team, which is rare. It's something that we're going to have to just applaud people for now. With the recent addition of NILs this guy stayed with Georgia his whole career. He didn't leave. And that's, like I said, he worked his way up, right? He was a special teams guy, which, hey, no disrespect to them, but you always want to be a starter for offense or defense. And he worked. He got some playing time. And, in 23, he did great for them. And in 24, it continued. We know Georgia's offense wasn't as dominant this year as it was in 23, but still put up some really solid numbers nonetheless. He was a big factor in that. Like I said, he's kind of lean in a way for a guy his size. Usually you think of offensive linemen, they're just, Mack trucks, but he's got that lean build to him, even though he is, coming in at his, 310, 320 pound weight range. But he carries it well. But it shows me that, he's in the shape he is because he's not going to get tired, right? That normally the lineman is like, all right, they're done by the time if you're on a long drive, they're done by the time you get to the red zone. But what I was looking at him and I was just reading up about him. And I don't know if the website that wrote this up about his high school career is completely accurate. If so, then my God. But it said in high school that he had 71 pancake blocks without allowing a sack in his junior campaign in 1 year.
It's pretty good.
Golly. Yeah. Hey, if anyone out there played against West Forsyth High School back whenever this guy was over there out in North Carolina, let us know and let me know if you guys got pancaked by Jared Wilson. That would be a great tale to bring on the show here. But obviously, he's got strength, he's got speed, he's got speed for an offensive lineman, which is kind of crazy to say. But once he snaps the ball, he gets his hands up, he's in position, he's ready to go. Doesn't commit a lot of turnovers as well. Doesn't commit a lot of penalties. So he does his job, and that's what you can commend about this young man. He does his job. He does good work. He's a second team all SEC player this year, so he got recognized, which is what you love to see. Like I said, he's just a workhorse, someone who, controls his body. He's not going to be flailing around or anything like that. He's not going to get tripped up by his own feet. So he gets, he checks off all the boxes in what you want in a quality offensive lineman. Now, where he's going to land, it's hard to tell because it's hard to tell with really any offensive line just where they're going to go. But I think that, Jared is the type of player that, if you need a starter, if you need even a guy who's a young backup to help out, and maybe, is that fringe starter, maybe you have someone who's a little bit older at the center position, have him here, take a couple snaps, so on and so forth. And you can maybe kind of, teach him to be the next guy for your team if that's, what some teams envision. Or if you just need a center, you can draft this guy. And I think he could, slide in and do a good job, just like he did for, like I said, the University of Georgia. It's not like he's at a Division II school or a smaller, lesser-known D1 school. This is an SEC level talent here. He went there his whole career. He's with the, a lot of people say is the best coach in college football, and Kirby Smart, who loved this guy. So, I mean, it says a lot just, about him. And I think that, whatever team drafts him is going to get a really good, talented player with, all the things you want to get checked off. He can do pretty much all of them. But, Brad, what are your final thoughts here on Jared Wilson, the center offensive lineman out of Georgia?
Well, I mean, he's got the winning pedigree, right? He knows what it's like to play in big games, to play for something a little bit more so, to have that pressure on you. He's going up against top-tier talent. You're playing Clemson, you're playing Tennessee, you're playing Ole Miss, you're playing Florida, you're playing the guys that, you expect to be seeing on Sundays on the other side of the football, and he was able to hold his own. Jared did a great job. So, I mean, as far as that is, concerned, he did everything that was asked of him. He played really well against top-tier talent all throughout his collegiate career. You got to give him props for that. And I think scouts and I think teams that are evaluating him and seriously consider bringing him in are going to, be wary of that. I like the guy. Again, it's when you have a guy that does nothing but really win, right? I mean, you have a disappointment at Georgia. Like, we lost 2 games this year. I mean, there's a lot of schools out there like, man, I'd love to.
You only lost 2 games?
I only lost 2. But he knows how to win. He's been a part of a winning culture. And, I think it's kind of a lost – I don't know the right word for it, but a lot of these professional teams love to bring in Georgia players just because, some of the culture stuff maybe you don't want, maybe some of the out the field stuff, but inside the film room, inside the locker room, on the field, what Georgia players have been able to bring to the next level. I mean, look what Philadelphia did this year. And half their defense was from the University of Georgia. They were dominant against maybe the best quarterback in the world right now, Patrick Mahomes, depending on, what you think. But I mean, it's something different with these Georgia guys, with these Georgia cats, and you gotta. I give a little bit more of an edge because of that, just because he wore the G on his helmet. I think he's gonna be pretty good at the next level. I don't know. It might take some time. Like they said, they had to develop at UGA, so maybe you got to kind of do the same thing at the next level. Like you were saying, maybe he sits and replaces someone, and you learn. That's the dream scenario for all these young guys to come in and say, "Hey, learn how to do it." The passing of the torch, it's my show. Get some extra reps, maybe some extra wisdom under my belt before it's my turn. But Jared Wilson, man, remember the name. I think he's going to be later round pick, but I think he's got a chance to be very decent at the next level at a minimum.
I've seen some places list him as being a day 2 or a day 3 pick, right around the, anywhere from the 80s to 100 as a number of overall selection. So, I mean, that I can definitely see why they're putting him in there. They say, people say that he doesn't have the driving of the power, right, to push kind of guys back. But look, as long as they're not getting sacked, I don't care if you're pushing them back or what. As long as they don't get to my quarterback, I think you're doing your job. That's just me personally. As long as my quarterback doesn't get hurt, as long as my running back doesn't get stuffed, hey, if you just keep them holding there, that's all that matters. Don't get holding, but just keep them where they're at. I think Jared Wilson, like I said, he's going to be a guy who, hey, he had to work his way up to be a starter for UGA, and I think that he's going to bring that mentality into the NFL wherever he goes. If he does have to kind of climb the ranks to become a starter, I think that he'll welcome that challenge. He's done it before with one of the best teams in college football in the last decade, and I'm sure he's willing to do it again with whatever team drafts him in the 2025 NFL draft. So, Jared Wilson, we'll see where you land and what team you are going to call your home for the foreseeable future. Well, for Brian LaBelle, this has been our last draft prospect we were doing for the 2025 draft. We're taking next week off to prep for our live draft show. That's going to be Thursday, the 24th, 8 o'clock Eastern. We're doing the entire first round of the draft from pick 1 to pick 32 like we did last year. If you guys go check that out, it's on our page as well. Go see what we thought of the initial draft picks for the 2024 ranks, and if our reactions were accurate or if we were just dead wrong, because I'm sure they were for a lot of those picks. And you get to see it again this year, so it's going to be fun there. Once again, it's going to be next Thursday, April the 24th, 8 o'clock Eastern on Facebook and YouTube. Also go and download our podcast, thanks to the Believe Podcast Network, on Apple and also on Spotify or anywhere else you can find your podcast. You can find us there as well. So for Brian LaBelle, I've been your host and producer, Logan Lander, signing off for our last, for me and Brian, our final NFL draft prospect for 2025. Guys, we'll see you again on another